Warrior, I come to you with sort of a new subject, probably for most of you to hear about, but not new for us working in this realm of child trafficking, child sexual abuse, teen, youth, whatever you want to call it. But I do want to bring it to your attention. Yesterday, I did an interview with Yasmin Vafa. She is the co-founder of Rights for Girls. She is a human rights attorney. She has dedicated her life to helping girls and young women with problems of sexual exploitation, sex trafficking, human rights abuses. Now, I want to give you the website. It's very important because I want all of you to go and read up. Remember, we've got to do a little homework these days. I would be here 24/7 talking nonstop about all of these abusive issues. So I need all of you to join in and to participate. Rights, RIGHTS, the number 4, rightsforgirls.org. That is the website. Now, Yasmin joined me on my Saturday, my Warriors TNT program, and that interview will be available momentarily. I'll get it up, lynswarriors.org, also Twitter, Facebook, you know the drill out there, Warriors. I am horrified, just listen to me, that there is a movement. There is something called, and the phrase was coined in 2015, so this is over 8 years already, the sexual abuse pipeline to prison for girls. Now, this country right now is in such turmoil. We are letting prisoners out of jail. We're not even putting criminals in jail. In cities like New York, where I live, we've got cashless bail. We have people robbing stores. We have murderers, rapists, you name it. You know what I'm talking about. However, there are many girls, teenage girls, sitting as we speak in jails and prisons right now, minors under 18. And I'll tell you why. They are mostly vulnerable girls, girls of color. They are sex trafficked, so they're charged with prostitution. Now remember, a child, a minor, I don't care if you're 17, that's still legally a minor. I don't care if you're 12, 14, minor. You cannot consent. Are put in jails, are accused of getting other girls involved, so they are charged with trafficking. They're pimps and traffickers, the person coercing them, forcing them, because remember, a child can't consent, gets them involved in drug trafficking or other crimes, robbing, stealing. And we're throwing these girls in jails and prisons. And many of them in adult prisons. On any given night in America, 2,000 teens are in adult prisons. Think how shocking that is. That's boys and girls. Right now, we're talking about the girls. So Yasmin was telling me about how since 2015, when the first study came out, how it was heralded, and even Barack Obama was, we're going to do something. Now, fast forward over 8 years later. Well, part 2 of the study is out with the updates, 3 new updates. I want all of you to read the study. Go to lynswarriors.org. Go to the Take Actions tab, click on it, and you'll see. I listed the report yesterday. You can also go to Rights for Girls. It's right there. I actually do want you to go to Rights for Girls because I want you to hit the resources and their press tab to see the articles that Yasmin has been involved with. And there's a wonderful one from just the other day, April 10th, in the Washington Post, outlining this sexual abuse to prison pipeline. The part I can't understand, Warriors, is in this country, and I started saying this about all the thievery and criminals, and nobody's keeping an eye on the ball, and nobody's getting arrested, yet they're putting children in jail, prisons. So with this sweeping movement of restorative justice that is being shoved down our throats, that many of you don't know about, that we're constantly talking about, which sides with the criminal? Let's reintegrate criminals into society. Why? They're poor people that never had a chance. They're vulnerable. Let us help them. So all of the sympathy, all of the empathies are with the criminal. And I kept asking Yasmin, I'm not understanding. We've got this restorative justice movement sweeping the country. This seems like the ideal, the perfect to get girls, teens out of jail and prison. I'm all for restorative justice if it's about the kids. And her answer was, I don't know. You would think it's a no-brainer, but I don't know. And Yasmin has testified, in front of Congress, and she's been part of, testifying with law enforcement and working really hard and dedicating her life to helping girls and young women. So I'm not understanding the whole restorative justice. Let's let the criminals out of jail. Let's reintegrate them. Let's feel sorry for them. They don't belong there in the first place. Let's make our jails a little bit more like country clubs, I dare say, because I've seen renderings for designs of new jails that are being built with cafes in them and large windows, so the inmates can look out upon society and see that people are enjoying themselves. They're walking around, they're shopping, they're having that snack, and the prisoner will say, gee, I want to have, I want to be part of that. And of course, these are renderings in cities like New York and Chicago and LA, where there are a lot of people around. It's not some prison rendering in the middle of a cornfield or something like that. So I point out, number one, restorative justice would be perfect, and I'm all behind it. The warriors would be all behind it for children in jails and prisons. Did you hear me? Children. Number two, where are all the feminists? Where are all the Hollywood elites? Where are all these women with women's empowerment that I keep seeing online and in real time, not speaking out enough for these girls in prisons, in jails? Why aren't they saying anything about it? That's number two. And number three, just follow along, follow the bouncing ball warriors. Number three, everybody is pushing for the full decriminalization of the sex trade. We want partial decrim. We want those in the sex trade, as in the prostituted person, to be given the opportunity, should they want, to get out of that life, reclaim their life through education, through psychological and medical attention, through job training, through mentoring others. That is partial decrim. We do want the pimps, the traffickers, the brothel owners, the sex buyers, the illicit spa owners, those criminals held accountable. That is partial decrim. So with all these people screaming for full decrim, and full decrim, warriors, what do I always tell you? You could have a brothel next door and there's nothing you can do about it. Your child will grow up. It will be very, very normal. And you see the writing on the wall right now with everything going on with kids, because there truly is a war on for our children. Drastic? Sure it is, but it's true. Be a nurse, be a teacher, be a fireman, be whatever you want, be a sex worker. It's going to be part of the normalization, the sexualization of our children. So with all these people pushing for this freedom, be a sex worker, my body, my choice, whatever you want to call it, if they're allowing, none of these people are speaking up for these vulnerable girls thrown away in these jails and prisons. And let me just say something, and I did ask Yasmin this. We've heard about in the United States, the prison industrial complex, bottom line money, right? It's always follow the money. Do you think because these girls come from no families, they've run away from physical abuse, they've run away from sexual abuse, they had to leave, and then they get involved with, they're hungry, they need a place to live, or they have what's called love bombing, the Romeo effect, where a guy acts as their boyfriend and showers them with attention and buys them things and takes care of them for a little bit and then gets them into this sex trade? Why aren't all of these women and men too talking about this? Is it part of this prison industrial complex? Fill the beds, we make the money, we have the government contracts, the state contracts. I dare say, in my opinion, it is. Sure it is. This is a money-making operation on the state and federal level. These are kids nobody's looking for. These are kids that are considered throwaway children. And everybody should be screaming in the streets about this, keeping These poor kids in jails and prisons, strip searching, solitary confinement, no windows in little cells. Go to rightsforgirls.org. Go to lynswarriors.org. Read the Washington Post article dated April 10th. Victims of sexual abuse, girls, victims of sexual abuse, trafficking, are thrown in jail and prison. And how this contradicts everything we're hearing, whether it's the media, the government as a whole, about freedom, be a sex worker, but they're throwing thousands of girls in jails and prisons. Did you know about that? It is horrific. It is shocking. So what are we going to do? Number one, we're going to talk about it. We're going to raise awareness. We're going to talk about it. Then go to Rights for Girls. Go to Lynn's Warriors. Use our toolkit. You must take action. I tell you all the time, it's 2023. We can no longer sit on the sidelines. You must urge your representatives, use the toolkit, put in your name, put in your zip code, send that email off. If you really want to be brave, you can also call their office, leave a message. They keep logs, they keep count. I am sick and tired of this abuse on our most vulnerable, aren't you? And urge them, what are you doing about the sexual abuse prison pipeline for minors, for girls? Because remember, we have to start thinking about all children are our children. Just think about that for a minute. In this world we live in, what the kids are faced with, what we're all faced with, these are kids that don't have anybody looking out for them. So they're thrown into these horrific conditions. They can never, you can't become a full adult. You become an animal. You become worn down. You become a repeat. Maybe you get out of jail someday. You don't know any different. You don't know how to make money. You end up back in jail. Most girls, women who are taken out of prostitution, the reality is they go back to it because it's the only thing they know, number one. Number two, there are no resources for them other than they got somebody out. How do you live? How do you buy food? Who's going to give you a job if you have a jail record, right? They need to survive. It's called survival. Those who do succeed, the average is usually about 8 times they go back before they finally get out. But this country, shame on this country, not providing resources for our own, especially our children, our young people. Yet we're involved in spending billions with other countries. This is shocking. We're Americans, we pay taxes. I don't want to hear what can we do. We have to all chip away at it and do a little something. We have to stand up to this injustice with everything we've got. We've got to start at least at home with our children, our grandchildren, and talk to them. This type of human rights, these abuses are not acceptable. We've got to do it all, warriors. It starts with the children. And just hug your kids a little tighter tonight, because there are a lot of kids sitting in jails across this country that nobody's talking about. The forgotten children, the forgotten teens. Remember, lynswarriors.org, Twitter, Facebook. We've got 3 radio programs going right now. We've got State of the Nation daily, 4 to 6 p.m. on the TNT network. Lynn's Warriors on WVOX every Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern. We've got Lynn's Warriors Saturdays TNT, strictly devoted to experts and guests and take actions for all of these things we talk about here on the Warriors. I'm doing as much as I can do. I want to do more. It's endless. I'm here for you. I carry the load to help you understand what's happening. So hug your kids, hug your grandkids. Think about all these things. Kids in prisons and jails. I'm just going to leave it at that. And remember, each and every day, do your best. Be a warrior.